Hello all, I am the Holland Phantom, and for today's video I'm going to be breaking down the 3 card types in the Pokemon trading card game. But before we begin, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel and to my Twitter account, at Holland_Phantom, so you don't miss out on any new Pokemon TCG content. And now with that out of the way, let's get into the video. In the Pokemon trading card game, there are 3 major card types: the Pokemon themselves, trainers to support them, and energies to fuel their attacks. And all of these types of cards are further broken down into more subcategories. So let's start with the Pokemon. Pokemon can be categorized in a couple of different ways. By elemental type, which are colorless, grass, fire, water, lightning, psychic, fighting, darkness, metal, and dragon. And if you want to know more about the different elemental types, you can watch my Pokemon TCG Types Explained video linked below. Also by evolution stage, which are basic Pokemon, stage 1 Pokemon, and stage 2 Pokemon. And by rule box, which include Pokemon with special rules such as Pokemon V, Pokemon GX, and Radiant Pokemon, among others. Though rule box Pokemon and other gimmicks that have been introduced throughout the years are too many to go into detail here, so I'll have to wait for a future video. So let's just focus on the standard Pokemon cards here. Basic Pokemon are the foundation of deck building, as you can't battle without having at least one basic Pokemon in your deck. Outside of rule box Pokemon, these tend to be the weakest, as they need to evolve to reach their full potential, though there are definitely some basic Pokemon that are strong enough to hold their own in battle, with notable basic Pokemon throughout the years including the iconic Hitmonchan and Electabuzz from base set, which were the backbone of the powerful Haymaker deck, Team Magma's Groudon from the Team Magma vs Team Aqua set, a powerful attacker and its archetype, the 3 Lake Guardians from Legends Awakened, which all have the incredibly useful Poke Powers of their format, Reshiram and Zekrom, strong Pokemon that had their own dedicated decks in the beginning of the Black and White era, and at the time of this recording, there are the Pokemon in the Lost Box deck, which include Comfey, Cramorant, and Sableye, whose attacks and abilities revolve around the Lost Zone. Next up in the evolution chain are Stage 1 Pokemon, which evolve from basics. These tend to be stronger in both their attacks and abilities, though they are a bit slower to use, as Stage 1 Pokemon have to wait a turn before they can evolve. But at times, their strength alone can be worth the resources invested into them. Notable Stage 1 Pokemon include Wigglytuff from the Jungle set, whose Do the Wave attack could grow strong enough to take one-hit KOs against nearly anything in its format, Scizor from Aquapolis, one of the strongest attackers toward the end of the second generation, Claydol from Great Encounters, whose cosmic power was one of the greatest draw abilities the game has ever seen, and Garbodor from both Dragons Exalted and Breakpoint, who came with the Garbotoxin ability, letting it shut off all other Pokemon abilities in play. And finally, there are the Stage 2s, the strongest outside of rule box Pokemon. They are the slowest to come into play because they have to wait at least 2 turns to evolve, unless the player uses trainers to speed up the evolution process with cards like Rare Candy. Because of all the resources they require, most players tend to overlook these Pokemon in modern play, choosing rule box Pokemon over them. Though if they are particularly strong enough, players can definitely build dedicated decks around them. Notable examples include the original Blastoise from base set, whose Rain Dance Pokemon power let it bypass the 1 energy per turn rule, allowing it to power up attackers easily, Pidgeot from Fire Red and Leaf Green, whose Quick Search Poke Power let the player grab any card they need from their deck once per turn, enabling a lot of strategies in the 3rd generation, Typhlosion from Heart Gold and Soul Silver, which enabled fire decks to attack continuously with its Afterburner power, and in the current format, there is Inteleon from Sword and Shield, whose Shady Dealings ability lets it search for 2 trainer cards upon evolution, making its evolution line the core search engine of many decks, letting the player grab whatever they need from the deck. Next up are the trainer cards. Early in the game's history, a player could play as many trainer cards they wanted per turn, but as trainers became more powerful, they were split into separate categories, notably separating the supporters from the rest of the trainers as a way to rein in their power. In addition to supporters, trainers were also broken down into items, tools, and stadiums. First up are items, originally just called trainers before they got their own name in the 5th generation, can be played without limit during the player's turn, with many of them modeled after the items from the video games, such as potions, revives, elixirs, and various Pokeballs, though there are many more items that are exclusive to the trading card game, with notable examples throughout the years including the infamous Energy Removal and Gust of Wind from the base set, which could target the opponent's cards with devastating effects, Holland Transceiver from Delta Species, the core of the powerful Holland search engine, allowing the player to grab any of the Holland supporters from the deck or discard pile, and Evolution Incense from Sword and Shield, allowing the player to search out evolution cards from their decks. Next are tool cards, which were originally released in the 2nd generation, and they were modeled after the various hold items in the video games, such as berries. These cards can also be played without limit during a player's turn, though only one tool card can be equipped to a Pokemon at a time. Tools give their Pokemon added power or protection from the opponent's card effects, and can only be discarded once their effect has been used up, when the Pokemon that they are equipped to are knocked out, or when they're removed by another card effect. Notable tool cards have been Focus Band from Neo Genesis, which could save a Pokemon from being knocked out on a heads coin flip, leaving the Pokemon with 10 HP remaining. Cessation Crystal from Crystal Guardians, which lets his wearer shut off all Poke Powers and Pokebodies on the field if it was in the active spot. Expert Belt from Arceus, which gave its wearer a 20-point boost in both attack power and HP, though it also gave up an extra prize when it was knocked out. And in the current format, there is Choice Belt, which gives its wearer a 30 attack point boost when battling a V Pokemon. Next are Supporters. Supporters are cards that are modeled after the human characters from the video games, and these include important characters like the various professors, and even generic characters like the trainers found throughout the world. Supporter cards have powerful effects, but are balanced by the fact that a player can only use one per turn. They were released in the second half of the second generation in the Expedition set, though their release was foreshadowed in the Neo Genesis set with trainers like Professor Elm, Time Capsule, and Pokegear, as once they were played, the player would not be able to use any more trainer cards for the rest of their turn. Notable supporters from throughout the years have been Professor Elm's training method from Expedition to easily search out evolution cards from the deck, Pokemon Collector from Heart Gold and Soul Silver, allowing the player to add 3 basic Pokemon from their deck to their hand, and from Noble Victories, which force both players to shuffle away their hands and draw cards equal to the number of the remaining prize cards, and in the current format, Boss's Orders, which is basically a reprint of Gust of Wind, but in the form of a supporter, letting players target which of their opponent's Pokemon they want to bring up into the active spot. And the last type of trainer cards are Stadiums, first released in the Gym Hero set of the first generation. These are modeled at their in-game locations, like cities or places of interest, though many locations have been created exclusively for the trading card game. Stadiums are unique in that they remain in play until they're replaced by another card or discarded, and they affect both players at the same time. Notable stadiums have been Chaos Gym from Gym Challenge, which forced players to flip a coin whenever they tried to play a trainer card, and if they flipped tails, the trainer would fail, and the opponent would be able to use its effect instead. Cursed Stone from Hidden Legends, which would place a damage counter on each Pokemon with the Poke Power between turns, making it a good choice for anti-meta decks. Broken Time Space from Arceus, one of the best stadiums in the game, which allowed players to evolve their Pokemon instantly on the turn they came into play. And in the current format, there's Path to the Peak, which shuts off the abilities of all Pokemon with the rule box. As there can only be one stadium card in play at any given moment, players often have to compete with one another to play their stadium at the correct moment of the game, giving stadiums a unique niche in competitive strategy. And finally, the last types of cards in the Pokemon TCG are the energy cards, which are needed to fuel Pokemon attacks. Energies can only be attached to a Pokemon once per turn from the player's hand, though there have been a lot of ways around this restriction, allowing players to power up their Pokemon's attacks quickly. Energies can be broken down into 2 simple categories, Basic Energies and Special Energies. Basic Energies come in every one of the Pokemon TCG types, excepting Colorless and Dragon, and they provide no effect and are the only card type in the game that can be played more than 4 in a deck. Special Energies come with an effect that activates once they're attached, which can range from providing more than 1 energy at a time, providing multiple types of energies, or any other number of unique effects. Notable special energies from throughout the years have been the classic Double Colorless Energy, providing 2 energy to a Pokemon, Rainbow Energy, providing every type of energy at once, Scramble Energy, which can only be attached to an evolved Pokemon, but then it provided 3 Rainbow Energies at once if the player was behind in prizes, and in the current format, we have Double Turbo Energy, which is a weakened version of the original Double Colorless Energy, as it reduces the attack power of its Pokemon by 20. Energy cards are the lifeblood of Pokemon decks, enabling players to take knockouts against their opponents to take prizes, and ultimately to win games. So there you go, a quick summary of the 3 card types in the Pokemon TCG. Hopefully you learned something new from this video. Let me know what you thought about it down in the comments below, along with suggestions for future videos. And be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and share this video to help this channel grow and reach new viewers. Thanks a lot for watching, and until next time, this is the Holland Phantom logging out.